microphones, please. All right. So, somebody's not muted. She's still laughing. Mute, Miss Harbin.
Why can't I hear him?
She's turning off the wrong thing. There you go. Okay. She's turning off her microphone. Is what's happening. I think there. Okay. She's turning something off. I don't know what she's turning off. But it's good now, Miss Harbin. I hope you can hear me. Just chat if you just tell me yes if you can hear me in the chat. Okay, she's not. Maybe she can hear me. I hope she can. All right, so let's get started. And we're going to pull up the PowerPoint. And I'm going to start with 6.1, just like I said I would. I got some questions, but I'd like to get through with 6.1 and 6.2, and then we'll go over the questions. But I don't know how much time we're going to have. I'm going to roughly go over the high points of Chapter 6, or 6.1, and then I'll go over the questions if we have any questions, but and show you how to do the calculator and all that good stuff. So with that being said, let's go ahead and click on, okay, wait a minute, let's see when I get to the part. Okay, there is a probability distribution. Remember, there's two rules. They all have to add up to equal 1, the probabilities. So there's the events right down on the left. This is the event. X is the event. What did we just do? Okay, let me go backspace. I don't know what just happened. There. X is the event is on the X side. That's the event. And remember we talked about 0 girls, 1 girl, 2 girls, 3 girls, 4 girls, 5 girls, whatever the case may be. 0 games in the World Series, 1 game in the World Series, 2 games in the World Series, 3 games. It could be any of those. This is the event. This is the probability of that event actually what? Happening. Okay. So make sure you understand what X and P of X is. Now, this side right here is your probabilities. They all have to equal to 1. And each one of them has to be between 0 and 1. So if you have a negative, it's not going to work. If you have a number above 1, that's not going to work. Like 1.58. 1.58 won't work. So they're going to give you a couple of examples here. And I want you to look at the examples. They're all about the same, but that's the two tests I just told you. I told you that the other day. And there's an example right there. Now, you don't have to write it down. You just need to see what's wrong. Now, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you don't even need to concern yourself with that. The only thing you need to concern yourself with is the probabilities. All of them added up should equal 1. In this case, it is not a binomial distribution, or I'm sorry, probability distribution, because it equals 0.97. 0.97 is not good enough. So you would put an X through that one because it's not a probability distribution. If it's not a probability distribution, can we do the math? No. It'd be like putting flat tires on a car. I mean, you can't do the math if it's not a probability distribution. Okay? This one has a negative 0.01. So you know that one's not right because you can't have above 1 or below 1. And then this one is okay because each one of them is between 0 and 1 and they all equal. If you add them all up, they equal to 1. So that one would be a yes. Now you might have one on the test that says, is this a probability distribution? And that's all you do, say yes or no. But usually I keep mine to the mathematics, which we're going to do tonight. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about putting it in your calculator as well as putting it in a spreadsheet. So we'll get to that. That's not a big deal. You know, I'm going to tell you, most of this test can be done on the calculator or the spreadsheet. Okay? There's not a lot of hand math going on here. Now I'm going to show you how to do some of the hand math, but you don't have to do it on the hand math. So this should be your highest grade of the semester. This next test, considering I'm taking chapter 8 out and putting it in unit 4. This should be your highest grade. It should be the easiest test, unless you just don't listen. Go ahead and write this formula down. That is the mean. To find the mean, what do? Well, you take the event and you multiply it by the what? Probability of the event, and then you add them all what? Together. So you need to write those 3 things down. You multiply the event times the probability of the event, and then you add them all up. 2 things, sorry. And that's your mean. And we're going to do that here in just a second. But you got to read the formula. You can't just say, well, what do we do, Hubert? Well, read the formula. You take the event, the 0 times point blah, 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 the 1 times point blah, 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 and then you add them all up. You read the formula.
And what was the second step?
I'm sorry, say again?
The second step, I'm sorry. Multiply the event and
Oh, and then add them all up. That's what the big funky E looks, that's what it means. Add them all up. All right, so now I wanted you to ignore the bottom because that's not the way I do it. Go ahead and write this probability distribution down. Write it down. Just do a whole page. Go to a whole page in your notebook. Put this at the top because we're going to write, or you can do it landscape and put it over to the right because we're going to do a lot of stuff on this. We're going to do the columns. Remember the columns we did with the frequency distribution? We're going to do the same type columns with this one. Now I'm showing you how to do it by hand, and then we're going to turn around and do it with I'm going to do it on the Excel spreadsheet, and then we'll do it on the calculator. So go ahead and write that down so I'll be pulling up the Excel spreadsheet, and then you can copy it from the Excel spreadsheet if you need to. Oh well. Well, there we go. Okay, keep, and y'all can, well, just hold on a minute. Let me pull up the Excel spreadsheet and I'll just retype them in there. Ooh, already did it this morning. Let me make that smaller, bring this in, make it bigger. Miss Jeter, leave them people alone. Quit disturbing them. They're trying to learn.
What am I trying to do?
Yeah, I don't know. You're trying to distract people. There we go. Oh, well. There we go. All right, so that's going to be more, so I'll just go down and make a new one. So X is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 0.01, 0.03, 0.10, 0.22, 0.58, and 0.06. And that is P of X. Now I'm going to make that big. All right, the first thing you do is you make sure you have a what? A probability distribution. So you add up all the what?
The probability.
You add up all those and let's see what we get. It's a miracle. All right, so what do you do next? Well, it says that we got to do X times what?
The probability of the thing.
Okay, so I'm going to go over here to this column and you need to write this in your notes. We'll do the plot in just a minute. I'm going to put X times P of X, and that's what you need to put your column. And I'll do the first two for you in my head, 0 and 0.58. Aren't y'all amazed that I can do that in my head? I said that to a class one time, and And student, like, the third problem later is fine. Oh, I see why you're doing that in your head now. Anything times 0 is what? Anything times 1 is that number. And these people procreate times that number. And I'll copy that down. That one is bad as my neighbor, though. Did I tell you the neighbor in 1 to the 29th power? Bless her heart.
With the calculator.
Yeah, the calculator, bless her heart. Bless. Y'all know what bless means, don't you?
You really feel sorry for them, but you don't really want to make fun of them.
You a dumbass. What?
Do you treat your kids like that?
Yeah. In fact, my daughter came to the house tonight. She brought some pizzas because I didn't feel like cooking tonight. She brought some pizzas. And she said, Daddy, I went to my advisor. I said, I don't care.
You called her a loser.
No. She said, well, I'm going to tell you anyway. I said, I really don't care. I go on with my kids all the time. That's the only way they can have a sense of humor. They gotta have a sense of humor unless you want to be a snowflake or a buttercup the rest of your life and be offended by everything. I mean, you gotta have a sense of humor. I call my daughter a loser. She has a sense of humor about it. I'm sorry. All right.
She's got to know that you love her, though.
No,
That's your love
I beat her with a belt.
That's what you're supposed to do. DSS gonna come soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I taught my son, Daddy, you hit me. I said, yeah, I sure did. When we playing, I'm going to call DSS. I said, go ahead, I'll look up the number for you. You got to have a sense of humor. If not, then your life just is, you're uptight all the time. All right, so everybody got the mean? The mean is what? 1.49. So write that down. Mean is equal to 1.49. Let's write that down here. Mean or mu, that's what they're asking you. What else is the mean? X bar, depends on what they're asking. It doesn't change the formula. X bar, all of those are equal to X bar, all that's equal to, wait a minute. I'm going to put the equals right here. Is that number right there. Now you're going to use it again because we're going to do another formula. So I'm going to highlight that in Verde. You don't think I knew big words like that, did you? Verde.
Yeah, thanks.
Dang old yellow, dang old Amarillo. Of course, it's not Amarillo, but that's the way I remember it. Amarillo. What is it actually? Amarillo or something like that? What is it? What's Spanish? It's Amarillo or Amarillo or something like that. I just say Amarillo. I'm not going to Mexico no time soon. Actually, if you go to Mexico, you know what happens if you stay too long? They lock your butt up. Racist. They have immigration laws in Mexico. You go down, I spent the night in Tijuana down there. We won't talk about that. That was during my Marine Corps days. All right, so here we go. What next? Well, let's go back to the handy dandy formula. What is it? Am I yellow? Did you look it up, Mr. Porter? I mean, Mr. Porter? Huh? Amarillo. Okay, Amarillo. Amarillo. Something like that. All right, here's the next formula. Let me go down here. I'm just going to skip to the good parts because you don't need to know all the stuff in the middle.
So the way you have this formula here, are you supposed to, like, after you do 0 times 0.06, are you supposed to then add that 1 and then add the 2 and all that?
No, we just did this on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
I did it in a column. They do it like this, and that way you're confused if you do this.
Yeah, I was there.
That's why I don't. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the formula. Where's the formula? Okay, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but there was a formula. There it is. I was beginning to wonder. Okay, write down the second formula. This is the standard what?
Deviation.
So I'm gonna take my handy dandy so y'all don't break an anvil with a banana. I'm going to take, and I'm going to mark this out so y'all don't write that one down, because some of y'all will write it down there. Now you can't write it down. The second one, the square root of the summation of x squared times p of x, close brackets, minus the what squared? The mean squared. You already got the mean. So now you just got to do the other part. So read the formula. What does it say do? X squared times what?
The probability.
Okay, we've got the probability, but what do we not have?
The x.
The x what?
Bar. The square.
X squared. We don't have x squared. So now we got to go back and make another what? Another column. So let's go back. Everybody got the formula written down?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go back to the handy dandy Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to make an X bar. Right? I mean, not X bar. X squared. X squared. Now, I'm going to do the first two, 0 and 1. I'm going to let y'all do, see if y'all can do the next ones in your head. Try to get my neighbor to do the other one. This dadgum thing, well, she didn't say dadgum. I pay $150 for this thing, it won't even work. It won't even raise 1 to the 29th power. 1 to the 29th power is 29. Yes, ma'am. There's these things called the directions. All right, and what do you think the next column is going to be called? Let's go back to the formula. X squared times what?
Probability.
X squared times p of x. So I'm going to take this column is going to be called x squared times p of x. X squared times p of x. I'll do the first ones for you. Let's see. 1, 0, and 0.58. I'll do those two for you. X squared times, what do you have to be careful of when you're doing this? Picking the wrong what? Column. And I have done that in class. So make sure you don't pick the wrong column. I think I picked the right one. Now let's go back to the formula. What does the formula say we do after we do that? We got to sum up.
All of it.
No, we got to sum up this x squared times p of x, because that's where the brackets end right there. Okay, so we got to do total of that. So go back. And I'm trying to show you that if you read the what? Formula, it tells you what to do. Hint, hint, read the formula, don't ask the teacher, because the formula tells you what to do. All right, there's 3.09. So that 3.09, and we're going to highlight that in Emma yellow, whatever. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the handy dandy. We have just found this part right there. So what are we going to do now? What was that?
That's my yawn.
That was a yawn? Okay. So what are we going to do next? Minus what? The mean squared. So I'm going to go back to my Excel spreadsheet. And I'm going to hit down here, I'm going to do standard deviation is equal to, and I'm going to take this number, and I'm going to minus parentheses, what? 1.49 raised to the what? And close parentheses. There is my standard deviation. Now, no, that's my variance. Why? What do I got to do to the variance? I hadn't taken the square root, so that's my variance. So now, standard deviation. Now, I could have have put it all in one step, but that would have messed y'all up, so I'm not going to do that. So equals this number raised to the what? 0.5 or 1/2 power? There is your standard deviation. So we'll color this one green because that's important. Why didn't I cover the variance? Because unless you're in a third level, unless you're in a 3 or 4 level probability or research class, you don't need the variance. The variance is just there to get the what? Standard deviation. Now, when you get in 3 and 4 level research classes, then you might use the variance a little bit more in other formulas, but you really don't use it very much unless you're trying to get something else. And that's it. Okay, let's graph it. Well, take your probability right here, just highlight those two, go to insert, and you can pick whatever you want to. What did they use? They used a bar chart? I'm sorry, a histogram. Yeah, whatever. I cannot get the, let's just do a, I don't like the way their bar charts do. Let me just do this. There we go. Or we can do a line chart. Insert. I can't remember. You go here. No. Here. No. I was going to try to do something else, but forget it. Let me delete it. Let me go back to insert. I was going to do a line chart and make it a little bit better. There you go. That's good enough for government work. If you want to put some boxes there, then take your handy dandy. If you want to really do this, then put a box there. And put a box there. And then put a box there. Y'all get the point, don't you? So it's going to look something like that if you do a histogram. Oh, it's not a histogram because these two aren't touching, so it's a bar chart. All right, y'all ready to do a nerd? Let's do one more just so y'all can do it by hand. Oh, we got to do it by the calculator. So take your handy dandy calculators out. And that way you can do both of them. You can do the handy dandy calculator as well as the, well, it's not going to let me make it. I'm going to have to just do the best I can. So go to Stat, Edit, and type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go to the second column, type in 0.06, 0.58, oops, 58. What? Sorry. Don't use. Some of these keys on the keyboard I can't use. I keep trying to use them, but I don't. But they don't work right.
Is the second column the probability?
L2. Stat, Edit. And it should go to L1 and L2.
And that's what we put in L2. Probability.
I'm putting in L2, yes. The probability, yes. 0.22, 0.1. You have to excuse me. I'm a guy. I can't type and chew gum at the same time. 0.03, 0.01. Okay, so type them all in, and then once you type them in, this is the easy part. I'm going to make it big now. Once you type them in, hit Stat, Calculate, First Variable Statistic. Now, the calculator will eventually read, now I'm not used to this calculator, but some default to L1 and L2. So I guess the next one, frequency list, would be L2. So you hit second 2, look above the 2, you see the L2 there, and calculate. All right, let's check. What was our mean? There's your mean, 1.49. See the X bar? Write it down, X bar, 1.49. And what was our standard deviation? 0.9327, Hubert. Right there. Sigma. Sigma is what? Standard deviation. See the sigma? Looks like a O with a pompadour on top. All right? That's sigma. Sigma's 0.9327. 0.9327.
Can you go over how you got stat?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you go over how you got?
Yes. Hit stat. Calculate. Number 1, first variable statistic, or just hit enter. Now it's picking up list as L1. Sometimes it won't pick up L2, so you have to hit second 2, because look above 2, you see the L2, and then hit calculate. It'll also give you your 5-number summary, but that's irrelevant with this problem. We don't do, the only thing you do with these type problems is find the mean and the what? Standard deviation. So you're talking at least 2 or 3 problems on the test, finding the mean and the standard deviation out of 6.1. Capiche? What if you want to draw it? Then go to second, y is equal. Hit enter to turn your plot on, or to enter it. Now you hit enter to do on. And then you go over, it's already defaulted to the chart plot. You want to put it on bar chart, you can put it on bar chart. Go over to bar, I'm sorry, histogram. And it's going to do L1, so don't do L, do the bar chart. And it's already defaulted to L1 and L2, so you don't have to do anything except hit graph. Now, of course, look at it. Can you tell anything like that? So you hit zoom stat. I think zoom stat is zoom 0, but let's check. No, zoom 9. Thank you. There you go. Now make sure, if you have to go home tonight and watch this video again, do it. Because I won't tell you, not your class, but I'm teaching another class. I can't remember which one. Oh, 103. My 103 class, they're on their Unit 3 test. They're doing business math, okay? Do you know what they're going to use on their test? Their calculator. 100% their Unit 3 test is calculator. Yours is about the same. Your Unit 3 test is about 100% on the calculator. So you calculator drill team members that go crazy about using your calculator, this is your test, okay? That's what you got to do. You can do everything on the calculator, but you got to learn how to do it. All right, so let's do it nerd. And this time, I want you to actually do the math. Okay, I won't go down here and just do it down here so y'all won't cheat and look at the answers. Yes, ma'am.
Did you say that the variance, is it not going to show up on the calculator?
No, if you want the variance, you take the standard deviation and raise it to the second power. So get your standard deviation right there and put it in your calculator and raise it to the second power, and then you'll have the variance. All right, here we go. Oops. There we go. All right, X. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, P of X is equal to 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, let's see, how much is that, 0.6, 0.2, and 0.1, and 0.1. Let's make sure that's equal to, yep, it is. All right, get to work. I want you to do everything that you can do. If you can't do it, then we'll fill in the gaps. I want you to find the mean, the standard deviation, and I want you to do it on the calculator. You don't have to do it by hand. You do it on the calculator, and then I want you to plot it and sketch a plot of it in your notes so you'll know how to do that. And if you can't, then we'll fill in the blanks as we go. Because you're a disappointment.
So we
Speak up.
Yeah. I had a student. She was a crafty person. She made me a tie, you know, the clown ties and the clown hats. She made a clown tie and a clown top hat with looser on it.
Lucifer?
Looser.
Oh, I thought you.
Looser. Okay, if you're going to call somebody a looser, make sure you know how to spell it. Loser. It's not losser, Losser, and it's not looser. We won't even talk about looser, okay? Looser. It's Loser. I didn't have the heart to ask her if she did that on purpose or not. And the tie is like this wide, and it's got a little piece of elastic. You put it on, and it's pink, and it gets about this wide. And it's got Looser on it.
Did you keep it?
Yes, in my office. And if you don't think people can't spell, all you got to do is watch your Facebook. And guys, if you can't spell, don't be messaging women because they're going to see you spell looser, Looser, and they're going to defriend you probably. Or spell cat, K-A-T. You know. Or there. They don't know which there to use. Miss Carmen and Miss Harbin, are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, one of them's there.
Still here.
Okay.
We're just finding standard deviation.
I'm sorry, what?
Are we just
Mean, standard deviation, and plotted. See, y'all just don't listen. That's y'all's problem. Y'all just don't listen.
We're doing the whole chart.
What?
We're doing the whole chart. That's what I was doing.
You're an overachiever, Mr. Poor. Must be one of those Belton things. I'm gonna wait and do everything step by step for y'all.
Thank you.
Because I know some of y'all are kind of new to the calculator. But probably some of y'all invented the calculator, so. I have found out that there's not many inventors in night classes. The inventors are all in the day classes, you know, the high schoolers that come out of high school. They know, you know, when I was going to school, people didn't know everything, but buddy, let me tell you, now, these high schools are putting out some geniuses, let me tell you. Okay, y'all don't have any idea what I'm talking about. Okay, that's all right, you don't have to talk.
I'm kidding.
I understand.
You know what I'm talking about? I've got a 12-year-old that already knows everything, and he's got a double whammy. He gets it from his grandmother, not mine, not my mother, and he also gets it from the school. So I guess he just knows everything. When he gets 18, I'm gonna go ahead and ship him off so he can become the president of General Motors. Now you know why I'm divorced. It's hard to be married to somebody that walks on water. When you're 18, that's why men should not get married until they're 35 years old, because they're stupid. Men are stupid. Sorry, guys. Sorry, but it's true. Don't get married till you're 35, maybe 35 to 40, because then you're equal to about 18 to a 25-year-old girl, mentally. Bet me. Anybody want to challenge that?
You're right.
Try to tell an 18-year-old boy anything. He knows everything. He's like a buck in rut running through the trees, hitting every tree with the antlers. I'm serious. You can't tell an 18 to 25-year-old boy nothing. Much less tell him not to get married.
I didn't know you was 18.
What?
I didn't know you was 18.
No, I was 20, but I think I was 20, somewhere in there. It was between the 18 and 25. Now, there are exceptions. I will tell you, there are exceptions. Maybe 10% of the population, maybe, that marry their high school sweetheart and live and, with the picket fence and the, there are some that do that. Not Hubie. No. All right, y'all through? Miss Harbin, Miss Carmen, are y'all through?
I'm done. I'm done.
Y'all are on the ball. Okay, turn your thing off. I'm getting feedback on me. I can't handle that. I can't stand here myself. All right, here we go. So I'm going to punch in my handy dandy stat, edit, and I've already got my 1 through 5. So over here, I'm going to type in 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, and 0.1. And then type in stat, calculate, first variable statistic, enter. It's already got L1 and L2, and after you put it in there one time, it's going to keep it in there. Enter. And write down your 2.3, and write down your 1.42. Simple as that. Now let's graph it. Stat plot, second, y is equal. It's already on, or we already turned it on, and it's already, so all you need to do now is hit graph, and there it is. So it's got a little hump in it. Now, as long as you got 2 problems right there that you got in your notebook. As long as you can do 2 problems, maybe one more, you got this down. Capiche? Okay.
What was that little thing we did the other day? Because I keep getting the error when I try to graph it. Is it the diagnostic something?
No, diagnostic on gives you the R factor and all that. That's diagnostic on.
Oh.
Yeah, but that just gives you more. It doesn't have anything to do with the graph. If you remember, write it down so I can tell you what to do. I don't know what you need to tell me what you mean by the graph. I'm trying to think what you're talking about, but anyway.
That's what it was. I thought it applied to that.
Okay, no, it just applies to having your R factor, and I don't even think we need the R factor now. So I think you're okay.
Yeah,
all right. So yeah, let's go back to the slideshow, and I'll cover anything else that is important. Okay, that's another example there. I don't know if that's the same one that we did a while ago. It looks like it. And here's what they do. There's theirs. What was our standard deviation on that last one? Was it 0.9327?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so they went ahead. Now see, they do it in columns. That's by hand. That's with a pencil and a piece of paper, no calculator, no spreadsheet. Although the spreadsheet does look like that, but that's doing it by hand. And you don't have to do that. That's only as a last resort. And I thought all you got to do is read your what? Read your formula, make the columns, add up what you need to. Okay?
Mr. McClure.
Yes, Hubert, please.
Hubert, I'm sorry. So the test, will the question actually read compute the standard deviation of a discrete random variable?
Yes, that's what it's going to do. It'll give you a little table like this guy, probably in the top right-hand corner of the homework problem. It'll give you that right there. It'll give you this. And then it'll say, find the mean and the standard deviation. In fact, I think somebody has actually sent some questions. Let me go pull up. Hold on, I'll take a minute and pull it up. Should have had it on posters, what I should have had it. Let's see. Let me pull up. Oh, did I tell you all the latest? I have been asked to lead a training session at TriCounty Technical College on these symptoms on these systems. Of course, nobody's going to show up. But guess what? You know what the irony of that is? I'm training TriCounty Tech, and I haven't even had training on them myself. So I'm going to make sure I say that in first, and I'm going to get a poster board. I'm going to put some lights on the poster board, and I'm going to say, this is a computer. Anybody there? I'm going to do it. So help me. I'll probably get written up for it, but I'm going to do it. The head honchos, they love them they love those posters. They take pictures of those posters and put them in our TriCounty Tech newspaper. God, sometimes I feel like I'm in 1960 or something. In the Twilight Zone. Hold on, Miss Harbin, I'll get there eventually. Okay, here is 120. Some of y'all may have sent these. I haven't looked at the names, but here's a 6.1. Let's see if that's it. Yeah, see right here in the top right-hand corner, blow it up a little bit or copy it in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not going to do it, but there's your up there. And then it's going to ask you to plot it. Then it's going to ask for the mean, and then somewhere down here it's going to ask for what? It's going to ask for the standard deviation. And then it's going to ask you, what is the probability 15 years or older, and they're just going to ask you to look at the graph, basically. So there's the mean, there's the standard deviation, okay?
Thank you.
That's all I care about. I care about the plot, I care about the mean, and I care about the standard deviation.
So you said on F, you just go and get the graph?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, we'll worry about that. I'll go over that. When's the day's next time y'all come in? Tuesday. Okay, because I don't want to cover that right now, because that's not a big deal. All you got to do is how many are 2? 0.113. Remember the other day when I said if it says 4 or 5? You add them together, that's what they're asking you there. So that's not really a big deal. I don't want to cover that now. I want to go on to the next. But Miss Harbin, does that help you?
It does, thank you.
Okay. All right, down here, I want to get, this is 6.2. Now, 6.2 is where they're going to ask you for NPX. Now, I went and I researched this because I always get confused with NPX, and I went and I wrote it down this time. And the NPX is going to be, most of the time, it's going to be binomial PDF. Binomial PDF, write this down, binomial PDF asks for exact. Now you can use binomial PDF and add them up, or you can, and I'll explain that in here in just a second. Let me put it on so I can write on it. There we go. Let me hit black. I hope it went to black. What was that? You gotta lay off them martinis, girl. Shaken but not stirred. All right. Got, what did I just say? I get it confused. PDF. All right, PDF. Binomial PDF is exact. Okay? Meaning that they're going to ask you if a coin is flipped 50 times and the probability of, that's n, the probability is 0.5 that it's going to fall on tails, probability, and x, what happens if you're going to flip, what is the probability that blah, blah, blah 6 times or whatever? Exactly 6 times. But if I do 6 or more, and there's 8, then I'm going to add NP6, then I'm going to do NP7, then I'm going to do NP8. And I'm going to add them all 3 together. If I use PDF. If I use CDF, then I just type in 6 and it will automatically do that. Okay? But you got to know how to use it. We don't use it very much. I teach students, let's put down binomial CDF means cumulative. Binomial CDF means cumulative. Cumulative means less than or what? Greater than. Or greater than. In other words, you're going to add them up. You can add them up on here, or you can do it, and we'll talk about that later, but that's what that means. Now, also, Q. This right here means Q. Q is the complement of what? P. Q is the complement of P. Now, in some books, they call it Q. In some books, they call it 1 minus P. The book that we were using a couple of semesters ago, Triola, they called it Q. So just remember that Q is 1 minus P, or Q is the complement of P. So if I say P is equal to 0.5, what's Q? 0.5. If I say P is equal to 0.65, what is Q? 0.35. It's complement. It's what's left. So what is the probability equal? Probability equals 1. Okay? So if I give you the probability or the P is equal to 0.35, then what is Q? 0.65. If I say P is equal to 0.75, what's Q? 0.25. If I say P is equal to 0.99, what's Q?
0.01.
There you go, man, you get it. All right, so remember that, because in the formula, you got to use Q. Now, you don't have to put Q into the calculator. You just have to be able to, and that's the formula. The formula, I tell you to write it down, but I never ask students to use it, okay? As soon as I get to it. There. Write it down. And the only reason I'm getting you to write it down, you don't have to write this down. That means all positive numbers. Okay? Anything above 0. All right? Here's the formula. Now, some books will write it like this. Probability of an event happening is equal to N, C, X, P to the X, what? Q, N minus X. So that may be the way you see it in other books. But the way that you use that is NPX in the calculator with binomial CDF and binomial PDF. So if it asks for exactly 1, if it says the probability is 0.5 and you flip a coin 50 times, what is the exact 1? Then X is 1 and you would use normal PDF because PDF means basically exact.
What does C stand for?
Cumulative. Okay? Actually, you use the combination. Remember the combination? You have to use that. That's what that means, combination. Okay, so that's why you don't have to know what it means because you're not going to use it unless you just like pain. Okay? We won't even go there. You just need to write it down in case you see it in a standardized test. Okay? All right, write these down. These are very important. And this is where, you remember me telling you need to graph it on a number line? Because you need to know what those four things mean. Okay, now of course, the equal sign on the first one and the fourth one means that it's inclusive of that number. So that's pretty, so I'm going to draw a number line on each of these. Well, you don't have to draw a number line, but this is going to be, hold on. One of these days I'm going to get training. There we go. Let me hit the little button down here. There we go. This is a closed circle, meaning that it's inclusive. This is a closed circle. And what is this? Open circle. This is an open circle. This is just a dot. Okay? So, if I say x is greater than 4, okay, greater than or equal to 4, that means at most what? At least 4. Yeah, I'm sorry, there it is. At least 4. How do you know? Draw a number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why did I not use negatives? Because you don't have negative households. You don't have negative people. You don't have negative surveys. Okay? Anybody understand?
Yes.
Okay, so these are just real world. Everything's got to be above 0 because you don't have -1 households. Okay, so what does at least 4 mean? At least 4 means 4 is the least number, right?
Yes.
Okay, if 4 is the least number, then that means everything what?
But after that.
Above it. That's what at least means. So you need to know what the word at least means. Okay? Now, what about more than or greater than? Let's say that you have, well, that's pretty self-explanatory because it says more than. Say x is more than 4. Then that would be 5. But it wouldn't be 4 because you can't include what? 4. So if I did x is greater than 4, then I would draw my number line. 3, 4, 5, and this is 0 down to 0. I would put you don't even put anything there, but you would put there, and if it was 6 right here, you would put 6. So you would do 4 and 6. You don't include 4 because you don't have the equal sign. You could put an open circle there if you wanted to, but you cannot use 4. Okay? At most, this is the other one that gets you in trouble right here. This one don't get you in trouble. This one don't get you in trouble. It's these two that get you in trouble. Draw your number line. X is less than what? Less than or equal to 4. That means at most. That means the biggest number has to be what? 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means that at most, that means the biggest number has to be 4. So that means what? All of these.
So your number line is just going where it's from.
You got to read those. You got to read these words, and then you got to translate it to here. Now, do you have to draw the number line? No. Why do you do it? So you won't be confused. That's why you do it. I have been doing the number line since I was in college. Okay? I have yet to not draw the number line when I'm doing a problem for somebody. I'll always draw that number line when I see this word or I see this word. I'll always draw a number line. Okay? So you got to know that. Now these are not that bad because everybody knows more than and everybody the greater than. There's nothing there confusing. This is confusing to people because they don't think like this and they don't think like this. You got to think, okay, at most, that means the biggest number is 4, so everything's less than 4. So you got to think like that. Okay? Now, there's one more thing I want to show you, and I want you to think about this. If I ask you the probability of x less than or equal to 4. Or it says in the question, at most 4. How would you do that? Well, you would add up 0, NP0, NP1, NP2, NP3, NP4, and add them all up. But is there a quicker way to do it? What's less? 2 numbers or 5 numbers?
2.
So do the probability of 5 and 6, do NP5 plus NP6, and take it away from what? 1. That's called the what? A complement. This. See, a complement does not have to be just numbers. This right here is a complement of this. Because the whole thing makes up the whole. You see what I'm saying? So what's easier? Taking 5 numbers and doing NPX 5 times, or doing 2 numbers and subtract it from 1? So you got to learn how to do the complement. You can do the complement up here also. But would it be easier to use the complement here? No, because the complement of 4 and 5 is how many numbers? 4 numbers. So you would go with the actual math there. Okay? Make sure you know that this page right here, very important. When you see the questions, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, here is a problem we're not going to use. We're going to use, what does it say? What is that word right there?
Exactly.
So we're going to use what? PDF. So I want you to type binomial PDF, and it'll ask for parentheses. Now somebody tell me which one is in.
The biggest number.
Which one is that? 20. What's P? 0.35. Somebody tell me what Q is. 0.65. And what is the X? 5. Do you need Q? No, not necessarily. You don't need Q because they're doing it by hand. You're using a calculator. All you need is NP and X. 20, comma, 0.35, comma, 5. Close parentheses. What do you get? I'm going to take a nap while y'all work on your calculator. Okay, y'all just didn't get anything, or y'all just not going to tell me? Okay. I'll just go do it myself. Here we go. Second, bars. Y'all didn't know where to go, did you?
No, I didn't.
Y'all.
I did not.
Binomial PDF. Somebody tell me what number it is. A. And type in 20. Okay, this is a newfangled calculator. It don't have just NP and X. P is 0.35. And X is equal to what? 5? And enter. 0.1272. Look at there. It's a miracle.
Yeah, I had an error.
Amble, banana.
Probably.
Try it one more time. Did everybody get 0.1272? Except for the problem child up front.
No, I got an error too.
Oh my Lord.
See? 3.
Just bear with me.
All right, we're going to do it again.
Yes.
All right.
Wait.
Hold on. Let's wait on Grandma. All right, here we go. Second, bars, 0, which is, no, it's not 0, it's A. Binomial, make sure yours says binomial PDF. Enter 20, 0.35, and 5. Hit paste, that pasted into the calculator. That's what, now if you have an old calculator, a TI-83, it will look like this. Everybody with me? Hit enter. There it is. What'd you get, Miss Harbin?
I got it.
What'd you do wrong?
I forgot to put .35. I just put in 35. So when I went back and put .35, I got the right answer.
This daggum calculator keeps giving me 1 to the 29th power is 1. Oh. Now y'all know what I mean with a hamble and banana.
Whoops.
Miss Harper's not talking to me. She's mad at me now. Miss Harper's
I'm
not
very
mad at me, are you?
upset. I'm very
What?
upset.
You just ignoring me? Say she's just.
I'm trying not to cry.
Okay. Well, if you find you a pillow, do you have a puppy? You can get a pillow and a puppy, and that'll take care of it. Why does I keep seeing flashing lights right here? Did y'all see that?
It's my phone. Every time you say something, it's gonna go off. Like
Okay.
something like.
Okay. You recording me so you can tell my boss?
Yes.
Yep.
That's my plan.
He forced us to go eat with him. All right, let's go to the next problem. Now, look at this one. According to the Asperian, blah, 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 okay, less than, they want you to do piece of 0, piece of 1, piece of 2, piece of 3, and add them together. So that's NP0, NP, but this says less than or equal to, which has got 4. Okay, you could do the probability of 4 and take it away from what? 1. But go ahead and do NP0 plus NP1 plus NP2 plus NP3. So that'd be 20, and it's real easy to do, even though some of y'all probably break the amble, but I'll show you what to do. Okay, let me pull up the question again, because I'm trying to juggle. I hadn't had training, so hold on. There we go. All right, I'm going to show you a trick I learned in the war. Hit second, enter.
Yeah, okay.
And look at there.
Oh.
And all you got to do now is just change this to 0. I'm going to show you another trick I learned in the war. Y'all know where you get bread?
The store.
At the stove. Right here, stove, right there. STO. All right, hit stove, and I'm going to say that in alpha A. Say alpha A. And I stored that because that's the scientific notation, and I guarantee you there's 3 or 4 people in here that have no idea what that means. Even though you should, because you should have certain math before you get here. You know what it is, you just forgotten it. All right, clear, or I'm going to hit second, enter. Oh no, it doesn't do it. Hit it again. Second, enter. There it is. Now put in a what? Instead of 0, you put in a 1. Enter. And where am I going to stow that?
And the stove.
I'm going to stow it in alpha. What comes after A?
B.
B. Second, enter. Second, enter. Change that to 2. Stow. Alpha. Every time y'all pass the store down, y'all gonna think there's a stove. Alpha C. Second, enter. Second, enter. And what? 3. And that's going to be stow and alpha D. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to take clear. I'm going to hit alpha A. Oops, sorry. Second, no, I'm sorry. Let me hit clear again. Alpha A plus alpha B plus alpha C plus alpha D. And I hit the wrong button. I suck. Let me do that again. Alpha D, and then delete, delete. I'm getting there, y'all. Just hold on. Alpha D, and enter. Look at there, 0.0444. Look at there, we got it right. Now, what's an easier way to do it? pull up second bars, or second enter, second enter, second enter. And instead of doing 3, 2, 1, 0, do 4, enter, and then 1 minus inverse answer. Okay, that's not it. It says less than 4. I thought it was 4. Oh, no, that's not. Okay, less than 4 means equal to. Okay, I'm sorry. That's a different type question. Just forget what I said. Okay, so you add those 4 up and you get 0.04, 44.
Can you go up on the calculator past the ABC?
Go up.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go to?
Up one. That's good. So you did the binomial PDF.
Mm-hmm. And added them all up.
What are you doing when you do the answer B? You're just naming?
Yeah, I'm just giving it a designation like a folder.
Okay.
Alpha. The reason I use A, B, C, and D, that's the first 4 letters of the alphabet.
So you use second alpha or alpha?
I use stow and then hit alpha A. Stow alpha B. Stow alpha C. Stow alpha. You can use anything you want to, but I just use the letters. Like when I do a numerator and denominator, I do alpha D for denominator, and I do alpha N for numerator. But you don't have to. You can do anything. You can use anything you want to. Question. All right, let's look at the next problem. I want to see if it's going to. There we go. This is the one I was looking for. All right, this one says P is greater than or equal to 4. So that means at least what? 4, right? So write at least 4. Well, if I got at least 4, I just did 1 through 3, right? So subtract, instead of doing all those numbers again, subtract 0 through 3, because like I said, I can't write because I don't have, but I had 0, 1, 2, 3, and we did that. That was right there. But it's wanting more than 1.
4.
So that means 1 minus 1, 0 through 3. That's what I was doing a while ago. Remember when I said hold on? That's what I got right there. I got before the.
So the 0.0444 is the.
That's 0 through 3.
The x is less than or equal to.
Hold on a second. Let me show you, because it doesn't. You can't see it if you don't do it on a number line. I'm trying to figure out what to do here, and I can't. I got 4 or 5 minutes for some of y'all that's going into convulsions. I think 4 is it. If you read the question, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me erase that little part right there. Okay, now, what in the previous problem, what did we get? In the previous problem, we did, maybe I should do posters, it'd be a whole lot easier. We did the probability of 1, 0, 1, 2, and what? 3. That's 0.044 right here, that's in blue. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Now they're asking right here, at least what?
4.
At least 4 means that 4 is the lowest number. And it means if there were more, it would be this way, right? Okay, so if this is 0.044, then what is this? If this is 0.0444 from here to here, then what is this? What does everything in probability equal? 1.
1.
If this is 0.0444, then what is this? It's the complement.
So why is it under 4 if it's at least 4?
Okay, you have to put it on the number line. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 4. What does at least 4 mean? That means your lowest number is what? 4. So there it is. That's the lowest number you have in your universe. So that means any number other than 4 has to be what?
Greater than
Right,
This
we
way.
circled
Okay?
the 3.
This is what we got with the previous problem.
Right.
Okay? So that means from here to here, the probability, well, that's 0, probability is 0.0444. Well, in probability, the highest you can go is 1. So if this is 4%, what's this? This is 96%, or 0.96. Well, point what? 0.95, you just take this from 1. So take your calculator and say 1 minus 0.0444, and that's what you're going to get. Now, y'all remember when I told y'all that the math is not what tells people to fail, or what dictates the failure in Math 120? What is it? 2 things. Reading and what? Thinking. The thinking right here, you've got to remember that everything in probability is equal to what? 1. If you have a probability of this, and it's 0.6, then the other probability is 0.4. If you have a probability here of 0.75, the other probability is 0.25. And you have to get that mindset when you're talking about probability. The probability is equal to 1.000. Okay? Unless they give you a ratio like 650 people work in a, and that's different. That's a different type of problem. In all these, it's going to be equal to 1. Okay? It will sink in. Give it time. You ever seen those old Colgate commercials where they take a piece of chalk and they put it in a thing of dye, and it takes like 5 or 6 minutes for the dye to sink into the chalk? It's going to take a while, because some of y'all haven't seen this before. And some of you, you've seen it, but it was kind of like a UFO. It was
I guess what I'm confused about is that when I see a number in, especially with like 3
Or
and 4,
I think all the numbers in the corner.
okay. No, with binomial. See, binomial has to be a number. It can't be a fraction or decimal.
Okay.
So you're talking about the integers,
Yeah.
the whole numbers.
Okay.
Okay, remember this. What's a half a household? There is no half a household. It's either 1 household or 2 households or 0 households. Okay, we're dealing with households here. Remember households, this question is not a household, is it? Yeah, see? I didn't even say that till just now. It's a household. You can't have a half of a household. You can't have 3/4 of a household. It's either 1 or what? 0. Y'all get out of here. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Recording. Bye-bye. See y'all.
Bye.
Oh, if I didn't have my kids tonight, I think I'd go by and get a drink somewhere.